Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. Today on the program, from top government lawyer to senatorial race newcomer.
I am a non-politician running for public office. I am Florin Hilbay.
A fierce critic of the Duterte administration.
Kapag yung presidente na yung nagbabanggit sa pangalan ng mga kumakandidato, malinaw na natatakot na po ang administrasyon.
His stand, defend the West Philippine Sea at all costs.
China doesn't respect our rights over the West Philippine Sea. And yet, we have decided to enter into this contract with them.
He played a part in a number of legal victories for the government, but will these be enough to earn him a Senate seat? Senatorial candidate and former Solicitor General Florin Hilbay joins us live. Thank you for joining us. I'm Pinky Webb. He's a familiar voice when it comes to issues involving the Philippines and China and the dispute over the South China Sea. He was a law professor and served as Solicitor General under President Noynoy Aquino's administration. Defended some of President Rodrigo Duterte's fierce critics like Senators Antonio Trillanes and Laila de Lima. Questioned the policies of the government at the Supreme Court. And now from the legal world, he is trying to enter politics. What will be his priority should he win a slot in the Senate? Let's go straight to the source of the story. Senatorial candidate and former Solicitor General Florin Hilbay. How are you, sir? Welcome back to the show.
Still alive.
Still alive? Is the campaign that hard?
It's physically draining, of course, because you're going around, especially with the type of campaign that the Ocho Derecho is trying to do, no? Derecho talaga dun sa mga tao. And it's part of the makinig project also of the Ocho Derecho. Kailangan talaga makipag-usap, especially given the political environment.
Would you submit, though, that somehow the strategy of the opposition or Ocho Derecho is this makinig project prior to the campaign and then yung house to house, kasi you don't really have a lot of support from the local government units?
I think it's a reality that any administration, opposition slate will have to face, especially with this kind of an administration that is very emphatic when it comes to what it wants to do. And so I think there's a general sense among local governments na off limits, you know, they don't want to participate in the national campaign. No?
Given that, nahihirapan ho ba kayong pumasok sa mga, let's say, sa mga bayan, sa mga, lugar-lugar kasi nga, as you mentioned, kasi kapag administration ka, yung local government officials normally, nandun sa administration. Right. So medyo mahirap pa?
Well, there's a special burden, on the opposition. Kasi kami talagang dumidiretso kami dun sa mga tao, sometimes even sa barangay level. But we're seeing different levels of support from cause-oriented organizations, NGO, civil society groups. I think ganun yung nagiging itsura nung kampanya na the administration slate, bukas na bukas sa kanila yung mga local government units, whereas the opposition, diretso talaga dun sa mga tao.
O hindi bukas? Nakakaingit ho ba yun? I mean, when you see them, sir, ang laki ng stage nila, 20,000 people na nagpupunta. Sabi ni former Congressman Erin Danyada, hakot naman daw yun, that those are his words. And you believe that?
I think kadalasan naman, no, it's like an entertainment show, diba? Na may ini-invite, pumupunta sila, and the administration can pull so many strings to make, that kind of an event really possible. That's a reality of politics, I suppose, anywhere, especially here in the Philippines.
Does it make you jealous, in a way?
Not at all, kasi kung hakot lang talaga. Whereas kami, parang the goal is to make our circle of support bigger and bigger. Maraming mga bagong kilala na nakakausap at nakikilala every day.
You know, we had General Bato de la Rosa yesterday, and I asked him about that style of campaigning because there are criticisms that it's more of entertainment than more their platform. Although he did say that nabibigay naman niya yung kanyang platform of governance. Pero pagkatapos noon, or before or after that, nagkakaroon ng konting, I don't know, song and dance number, especially with General Bato, kumakanta ho siya. Let's listen to what the General said to us yesterday. All right, so I don't think we have that. We have another one, though he was saying that, ito, ako na lang, I will rephrase it. Sabi po niya, to the effect na ang tao naman nagpupunta doon, hindi lang para makinig. Siyempre, gusto mo din sila pasayahin. At kung mapasaya mo sila, that is a good thing. What do you think of that? Is it true or not true, sir?
Well, there's an element of entertainment. Ang problema lang if it's entertainment that gets emphasized, no? Parang yun yung nakikita namin dun sa estilo ng kampanya nila. I mean, there's an element ng politics na dapat uplifting. You know, you want to inform the people. We're not running because we think we're so much more qualified than they are. It's because we have a cause. Meron kaming gustong sabihin dun sa mga tao. And you know, it's how you emphasize yung issue-based campaign over an entertainment-based campaign.
Okay. Pilo Hilbay. Florin Pilo Hilbay. Why Pilo?
Piloso po daw ako eh.
Okay. So you're sticking to that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Just a brief background on you. You grew up in Tondo. Got a scholarship in high school?
Well, there are two high schools in UST. Education High. Nung time namin ang tawag sa kanya PAYLO. Kasi we're subsidized by the College of Education of the UST.
Of UST, yeah.
So our teachers were graduating college students, pinagpa-practicean kami, which is a very different mode of learning, diba?
So yun yung inyo?
Yes.
It's still a scholarship,
Educay,
though.
yes.
Okay, in UST. And then, you went to college in UST as well. You majored in economics.
Yes.
And then you took law school in UP.
I didn't want to take up law because I wanted to become a bank teller. I wanted to help my family. But some of my classmates said, "Oy, parang you have the aptitude for lawyering." And so I ended up taking the exam at the UP College of Law. Unfortunately, I was the only one who passed sa UST at the time. Dahil konti lang yung nakakapasok sa UP. During my time, it was just me. And so, partly out of curiosity and partly, you know, to carry the cause of my classmates who didn't make it to law school, I decided to take up law with my father's blessings.
And you ranked #1 in the bar exam?
Yes, the 1999 bar examinations.
And then, hindi pa tapos dyan, nag-Masters of Law kayo from Yale?
Yes.
Do you have anything to prove this?
Oh, yes, of course. I have it on file.
You do?
It's with me.
If anybody asks you if you have any proof to this or if they ask records from Yale, makukuha naman po.
Definitely. I think one of my supporters already posted it online, yung diploma ko.
You know, with an achievement like this, let me call you Pilono because that's what you want to be called. Well, I guess the question is this: why did you not end up with possibly one of the top law firms in the country kung ganito din kaganda yung iyong resume?
I thought about it. I was bound for the big firm until I was invited by the Dean of the UP College of Law to teach. And so one of my professors said, I'll ask you to join me in my firm, but I'll also allow you to teach. I wanted a balance between law practice and academic work. Scholar ng bayan, so I wanted to give back as well.
I think you were the youngest. Were you the youngest faculty member of UP?
I think at the time I was the youngest because I just graduated from law school and passed the bar.
So did you end up working with a law firm hand in hand with teaching? Is that what happened?
Yes. Pinagsabay ko siya. And then in 2003, I also met Senator Salonga.
Yeah.
We did anti-corruption work, judicial oversight. And so I don't have any political blood in my
Actually, that's where I wanted to go because you ended up being a Solicitor General, of course, and then you're running for the Senate. Parang ang tanong ko kasi with this kind of background. I would have thought that someone like you would have ended in a top law firm, made a lot of money. But naging solicitor dyan. Nagtrabaho kayo kay Jovito Salonga, former Senator Jovito Salonga, for, what was it called? Katarungan.
Bantay Katarungan from
Anti-corruption.
2003 to 2010.
O di, pagkatapos mo nun, well, eventually government and then solicitor, and then now Senator. Tell me about that transition.
Okay.
you
I
see
actually
that
thought I
coming?
was... No. No. I think, it's partly because of the recognition that we live in very interesting times that I decided to run for public office. I think I recognize, and a lot of people do recognize, that there are special challenges to the political environment today. Our constitution might be changed. I think free speech is being undermined, even freedom of the press, separations of powers is being blurred. I think that's part of the reason why I decided to move outside the comforts of the university. I think also part of it is, people are looking for new faces. And so I've decided to make the ultimate sacrifice of resigning from the College of Law, giving up my tenure to walk the talk and say, okay, if you are looking for new faces, then I'm a new face. Here's my background. Here's my history. These are the things that I can do.
Kilala ka ba ng tao?
The problem, I think, for most of the Ocho Derecho candidates is awareness. And that is the fundamental challenge that we need to overcome. But
Do you have time to overcome that?
We hope so. We hope so.
You're counting 68 days left, right?
68 days. I mean, I told people if this campaign were like for 3 years, then I'd say I have a very good, a very good chance.
I remember former DILG Secretary Rafael Lunan was saying he ran in the last elections and then he said that it was a strategy kasi para makilala siya.
Okay.
Sinabi niya yun, he admitted that, para makilala siya, yung pangalan niya. So it was really a strategy to run for this election. Could that be a strategy
okay.
for yours as well?
Not at all. No, I'm not looking 3 years from now. I'm focused on the present. I'll do everything in my powers to reach the kind of awareness needed to attain competitiveness. And if it happens, then I think we have a very good chance.
What are your chances, you think, right now?
I'd say it's admittedly, a very difficult campaign, not just for me, but for everyone who's not part of the administration.
All right.
That's a reality. But we need to power through. We need to transcend the current statistics, diba? And do a campaign of hope. Because I think the more...
Campaign of hope, you said.
Exactly, exactly. I think the more people get to know who I am and some of the candidates that I'm running with, the more they realize, okay, we have a real option here. We're not going to be stuck with the same names or with the administration candidates whose faces you see all the time and everywhere. There's a real alternative, and that's what we are.
We'll be taking a short break. This is The Source on CNN. Philippines still to come. His stand on pressing issues, the country's withdrawal from the International Criminal Court and the possible release of a narco list ahead of the 2019 polls. Former Solicitor General Florin Hilbay will still be with us after the break. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. Our guest today, Senatorial candidate and former Solicitor General Florin Hilbay. How will you reach as many people as possible with this house-to-house, sir?
I think part of it is a media campaign. We need to make sure that everything that we do is covered by the media. And I think part of it is the concept of, in my case, Hilbayanihan. It's a volunteer-based campaign. We have several thousand volunteers already. And so the hope is that as I go around, doing person-to-person campaign, house-to-house campaign, you have several thousands of people doing almost exactly the same thing.
Simultaneously, parang ganun no? Kasi when you really talk about house-to-house, it's more a local style of campaigning because kahit paano kaya. Pero pag national, iba talaga ang laban dyan. But again, that is the strategy of the Ocho Derecho. Mayor Sara Duterte says the hugpong ng pagbabago is the star and the moon. Ocho Derecho is parang a black hole, very depressing, very dark, and disorganized. And you also have the president saying something about you. Let's listen.
So, tingin mo kaya, si Hilbay o Hilby ba yan? Yung pagong laban mo kay Mayor, Hilbay, makalintal, abogado. Makalintal, abogado. Abogado ka lang kung may pera ka, papasok yan. Wala kang pera. Walang makalintal na abogado na.
All right, maybe just a reaction, sir, on Mayor Sara Duterte and the president's reaction on you.
Well, I think if you go to our campaigns, you realize people are always smiling. People are always smiling. I don't get the point about
Black
us
hole.
being depressing and black hole. I think she's coming from the perspective na parang we're critics of the administration's policies, and for some reason they really don't like being criticized. But we need to recognize that that's a fundamental mechanism in any democracy, that you need to find balance. Otherwise, they can do anything and everything, and that's not going to be good for
And
the
why are you
people.
going to be called the opposition? Kung
Exactly.
ganun din po. All right, the debate, you know, we had COMELEC Chairman Abbas, and we asked him about the debate, and basically he was saying that sa dami kasi ng kandidato, 62, they might not have the resources nor the time to do this. Do we have the soundbite of the chairman? Let's listen.
Kaya mo ba ng COMELEC na bumuo ng isang debate between the administration and the opposition, or would you, can you, or if you so decide to do this, you will ask a network to do it? Paano ho kaya? What are you seeing so far?
So far, ang problema natin, oras. Wala na kaming oras, Pinky, for an official debate. That is why ako nga personally, pumupunta ako sa mga network to support, to give a support. But again, it's not an official debate by the COMELEC.
Frankly, sir, the chairman is saying, aside from what he said, we talked after that, mukhang malabo na talaga itong debate. That will be officially done by the COMELEC. Papaano ho?
Well, that means it's up to the networks to take on the task of voter education. I think it's part of the fundamental task of the COMELEC to introduce the candidates. Why? Because, you know, free, honest, fair elections is part of their mandate. So I don't think the COMELEC will actually spend time doing it. The networks will be more than happy to do
Yeah.
it for them.
Definitely, we're going to do that.
Exactly.
As well, kung meron ho kayong makaka-debate, who would that be? Isa lang sa kanila.
Kahit sino. Aimee, Bongbong,
Bong,
Bong
you mean,
Revilla.
yeah. Bong Revilla? Or
yes,
Bongo?
Bato, Bongo. Because the idea is we're not doing this for ourselves. We're doing this for the people. In fact, someone who is willing to face the public in a debate makes himself very vulnerable. Kasi kahit ano, pwedeng itanong sa'yo.
Itanong at itapon sa'yo.
At itapon
Like, yeah.
sa'yo. And I think that's part of being accountable to the people.
So how do you feel that some of the re-election senators, you know, refuse to attend debates?
Well, I think that's part of the menu of considerations ng mga tao. Itong mga kandidato, kung ayaw pala nilang sumali sa debate, they can make judgments out of that. For us, you know, we made the offer. It's not for us, but for the benefit of the public. And kung yung mga tao, they feel, shortchange kami kasi ayaw magsalita about the policies that they pushed when they were senators. Okay, hindi ka namin ibuboto.
And they can also say, sir, that their track records can speak for their work, the work that they've done.
Exactly. Pwede lang sabihin yun, of course. And then the people can say, wait, pero ikaw yung nagpasa
Ikaw
ng
yung sa train, sabihin natin, ganon.
Sa
Yun naman
train
yun.
law, or you enforce the government's war on drugs, diba? Parang puro selfie lang yung nakita namin sa'yo, ano yung policy na gusto mong mangyari, diba?
All right, let's talk about, well, yesterday we also had General Bato, yun nga po. This one, we have this ready. He's not scared. Sabi niya, hindi ako natatakot makipagdebate sa kanila. Ready nga
That's
siya.
a good thing. That's a good thing.
Oo. Sabi ko, bakit hindi siya nagpunta sa Plaza Miranda? Sabi niya, because they had a campaign. And I even asked him who he wants to debate with. I don't know if you heard this, sir. Let's listen.
Baka kala na, dahil matatalino sila, sasagasaan na lang kami sa debate. Sabi ko, hindi po ako takot makipagdebate, hindi ako takot makipagira sa mga NPA, hindi ako takot makipagira sa mga terorista. Kayo pa na debate lang yan, hindi ba yan nakakamatay?
So why didn't you show up in Plaza Miranda?
Paano ako pupuntang na, kasi nung unahin ko, sila o yung aking partido na kinakailangan kami doon lahat para sa aming kampanya, aming sorte.
Kung meron ho kayong makakadebate, isa sa kanila, sino ho ang iyong magiging first choice?
Gusto ko si Maruhas.
Gusto niyo pa si...
Baka
Why, sir?
sabihin niya, be careful what you wish for.
Sure.
What do you think of that? General Bato de la Rosa debating with former Secretary and former Senator Mon Rojas?
I think he said it in jest.
No.
Tumawa siya after, di ba?
Tumawa, but he was serious. Sabi naman niya, in fact, to be fair to the General, when you invite him, he does show up during the debate. So, Lenny Magic, how is that helping the Ocho Derecho?
The Vice President is very inspiring. I think she has a very large following. Some of them very vocal, some of them not so vocal because of the environment. We're hoping that the Vice President, will campaign as hard as she did in 2016 for the Ocho Derecho.
Is she not so far?
We're seeing that already. She's starting to do the groundwork. Umiikot siya on her own. She has her own sorties. And we're hoping she does that for the full campaign period.
We'll be taking another short break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. Our guest today, Senatorial candidate and former Solicitor General Florin Hilbay. Inflation in February, sir, at 3.8. It's the lowest, I believe, since March 2018. That's a piece of good news.
Of course.
Are you willing to submit to that? Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Because inflation eats up, disposable income. And yung disposable income ng mga mahihirap, yun talaga yung tatamaan ng inflation.
So, does that mean that the government is doing something good? Something right, rather?
Yeah, I mean, you can go so far as saying it's a good thing because they've been able to manage the inflation compared to last year when everybody complained so much about inflation for the whole year.
So I guess this begs the question, sir. If train was being blamed for the rise in inflation and then now bumababa ang inflation, is it still train?
3.8% is still high. So you're talking about the rate of increase in prices. It simply slowed down. It really go down to levels that we've seen during the past administrations. It's still high. 3.8% is still high.
Okay, narco list. It seems like the DILG will release the list possibly. There's talk that it could be next week, sir.
And that's a problem that we face today. No waive daw yung presumption of innocence if you run for public office. These are things that law students will laugh about, and yet that's becoming government policy. That's a kind of political environment that we face. I think it's a threat on potential opposition candidates. It's patently unconstitutional as well. Secretary Panelo says, well, if the list submitted is wrong, then they can file libel cases against government officials. It's the other way around. If they have a good list and that list is backed up by evidence, then file the appropriate cases. Hindi yung shotgun method, pwedeng magkamali, at kung nagkamali, sampahan nyo na lang kami ng kaso. It really doesn't work that way.
Can this be questioned before the Supreme Court? Pwede ho ba yun? I guess that's a question in my mind now because there's no stopping government if they want to do this, right? But what about the rights of those people who could be included in the narco list?
We were hoping that, compliance with the Constitution would stop the government itself, but apparently it's not stopping them. Kaya ang gagawin nila is they're going to release it. Whether they will in fact release it, we don't know. Sometimes the problem with this kinds of lists is that it acts like a Damocles sword. So long as it hangs, then the threat is there.
It's present, yeah.
It's present for the rest of the campaign.
But can it be questioned before the Supreme Court if a list actually comes out? But does it have to come from a person who's part of the list, or it could be any even lawyer group can do this?
Well, the court is quite open when it comes to these types of cases. We're hoping that lawyers groups will, defend, people who are part of this narco list.
Okay. All right. Questions now from social media, from Facebook. Mon Deticio, please ask Attorney Florin Hilbay, since Philippine government hired a premier foreign legal team for the West Philippine Sea case, what specific legal arguments or strategy can he really claim came from him and significantly contributed to winning the case? Let me just be very frank about this, Attorney. They are saying that your participation here is almost nothing.
Well, the Solicitor General, ako, served as agent and counsel to the Republic. There's only one signature that appears in every pleading. So that's the signature of the agent. Previously, Solgen Hardelesa. My participation is to manage the entire arbitration. And if you're looking at specific participation or
In
strategy,
arguments, yeah.
it comes to issues involving joint development. I stood against the possibility of joint development. We've done talks about joint development.
Yeah.
My position on the MOU is consistent with my position as agent on the joint
Sorry,
development.
because we don't have time. Let me cut you here, sir. I hope you don't mind. Marites Vitog is saying that there's nothing in there that talks about joint development. Can you please clarify that, sir? I mean, that's what I remember reading.
It's because I removed it.
But so then it's not part of the argument.
It was removed as part of the argument. Part of the strategy was to think about potential positions of the government in case we lose one particular argument. And one of the advice that was given us was the possibility of entering into joint development with China. And my position was we don't enter into joint development with China. We push our arguments to the limit. We don't tell the arbitrators we're open to a compromise with China on, say, joint development in case we lose. We say we go as far as the arguments can go, and we won the case and we won that argument.
All right. I wish we had more time. Unfortunately, naubos na po yung oras natin. Thank you to Senatorial candidate and former Solicitor General Pilo Hilbay. Sir, maraming salamat po sa inyo.
Thank you.
And of course, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Pinky Webb. You're watching CNN Philippines.